So, Tony, long history, really long IMDb. It's hard to get down that far. You're scrolling and you get a cramp. That's how much. That's how much you got going on there. So, tell us when you first got into it and what inspired you to get into the movie business.
Well, the thing that inspired, I loved. My father was a taxi driver. We come from a very working class family, but he had two great loves. One was soccer, and the other was movies. And I was lousy at soccer, but he used to take me to the movies once a week, and I just loved going to the movies. And I always remember seeing one movie in particular that struck me as being was Shane, and I just loved the photography of Shane. Just loved it, and I thought, my God, I just. I don't know, I'd like to do something like that. But and I didn't like school, and I left school when I was 15, and I knew no one in the movie business, but somehow I managed to get a job at Pathé News. You have Movie-Tone News in America, and Pathé News in England, where all news was shown in cinemas, and we made 2 newsreels a week. And I was running up and down Wardour Street carrying cans of film, which is the one main street in London, where all the film companies are. And then I used to go out and help the cameramen on big things like the Cup Final or the Grand National or the Queen's birthday or some, And the reason they took me was that when they did those things, they had to get there early and set up and then wait. And they'd all go to the pub. So I'd sit there for 4 hours. But then there was this one guy that came back drunk. His name was Ken Gordon. He's dead now, so I can mention his name. And he was always completely smashed. So he sort of taught me how to do it, and it was a one-man band, so I learned to load the camera and hold it and take a light meter reading, and I was very excited by that. And eventually they got me a union ticket, and they were going to make me a newsreel editor, or cutter, as they were called. And I really didn't want to do that. And I got a job at a little studios run by the Danziger brothers, who owned the Mayfair Casino in London. And I'm sure it was a legitimate casino, but I'm sure they were laundering money somehow. So they built this studio. And I got a job as a clapper boy in the feature department. And we made one feature every 9 days.
And what's a clapper boy?
Well, a second assistant, they're called now.
Sounds like something
put the
else.
slate in,
second AC here.
But we were called clapper loaders.
Cool.
We loaded the magazines, put the slate in, and assisted the first assistant. And basically, you were also a Batman, a personal messenger boy for the cinematographer. Do his, run his laundry to the, whatever, did whatever he said. And I managed to progress from there. I mean, to cut that all very short is that I've one thing I've always felt, and I've told this to David many times, there's a lot of incredibly talented people in the movie business, both directors and cinematographers, but you need a lot of luck, and that and the luck, I think, for me was being in the right place at the right time.
Nice.
And someone got sick on a very big picture at Pinewood Studios, and that was Call Me Bwana, a dreadful movie with Bob Hope and Anita Ekberg. And
I remember it.
It all took place in Africa. We shot it in Pinewood Studios in London and Denham Golf Course. And I worked on that for a few days. And then I found out that particular cinematographer was going to do From Russia with Love. And somehow I got hold of his telephone number. And it took me about a week to pluck up courage to call him. Because, in those days, cinematographers or DPs, directors of photography, were sort of gods. They were gods,
Right.
And I did call him, and he said, "What the fuck do you want?" And I said, "Well, Mr. Moore, I hear you're going to do From Russia with Love, and I want a job on it." He said, "All right, let me think about it." And he put me on the second unit, and that was the start of it. And
Wow,
then,
cool.
So what does that mean to be on the second unit?
But there was another unit going. You clean up stuff. You do some action
gotcha.
stuff. You went off on your own. You did
Cars exploding,
plate shots. A lot of fun stuff. And it was
So some B-roll and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was really nice and easy. And then we'd sometimes go in and be B camera.
And then, let me ask you this, Tony. What because this went by a little bit ago for the people who don't know what it means. But what do you mean when you say you get a light reading?
Take a measurement from a light meter.
And what are you looking for?
The f-stop.
the correct exposure.
The correct exposure.
Okay, perfect. So so it's not too dark or it's not blown out.
No, it's just right.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
But that was very simple. But all that stuff I did with the newsreel camera, they were one-man bands, and it was mostly exterior. You didn't have lights,
Right.
And then one thing led to another, and then I went back to a little studio in London, just outside London, called called Hammer Studios, where they made all the great Hammer horror pictures, the early ones with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. I joined them as a clapper loader, and I was sort of permanently employed, and they would bring in for each movie separate DPs. And there's one guy, John Wilcox, that took me under his wing, and he said, listen, he said, I'm going to go off to Israel and do a picture. I'd like you to come. So we went off to Israel, and we were on the first unit, and Nicholas Rogue was the director, cinematographer. He was a young DP then, on the second unit. And I gravitated towards him and his crew because they were completely wild. I mean, you know, they'd party a lot, drank a lot.
So how old were you then, by the way? Let's get a time frame here.
Probably 19.
19.
Holy
yeah.
cow.
19.
20.
Wow. I mean, that's a long career. I mean, to start that young.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Yeah.
how many people get to start?
I started in 1959.
Wow.
And all in the camera department.
Yeah, I started when I was 18.
Oh, did you?
Oh, did
Okay.
you?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
And then, you know, about 6 weeks before we left, the movie finished, Nick said, listen, he said, I'm leaving, and I'm going to go do another movie. I can't tell you what it is. I can't take my operator and focus puller with me, but I'm definitely going to take you. And I got back from that movie, and there was an urgent call from MGM to go and see them. And they were really pissed off because in those days, studios had camera departments and people were permanently employed. And it was for Dr. Zhivago.